Welcome, blood brothers and sanguine sisters, to Deeply Discussing Dexter. I'm your host, Dale Maxfield. I'm joined by Aaron Caldwell.
Hello.
Brooke Merritt.
Oh.
And Zach Roland.
Hello, hello.
And today's episode is Season 3, Episode 9, About Last Night. In this episode, Miguel wastes no time killing Wolf and ruining his marriage. Dexter makes multiple visits to the soccer ball graveyard, and Sarcastic Harry is sarcastic. Plus, Anton is saved from the death vagina. For now. What did you guys think of this episode overall?
It was a pretty good episode. What about your bullet points there? Miguel wastes no time killing Wolf and ruining his marriage. Does that make Dexter a homewrecker?
I mean, Miguel is the bad guy here.
I mean, like, If Seal thinks he's cheating, it's obviously with Dexter. So
yeah.
Well, Rita should be worried about it too, because he spends way more time with Miguel than her. So
Rita's got a ring; she don't need him.
Yeah, I think this episode overall was enjoyable enough. Good episode all around. You know, there's some things moving forward, and we finally get more out of the story that we've been waiting for. So I like that.
Yeah. It felt like it should have been episode 3 or 4. But it's episode 9, so here we go. Dexter wakes up and goes through his new routine, waking up at Rita's, but Miguel knows Dexter's truth now. Sil shows up unannounced. She looks bad. She asks if Dexter was really with Miguel last night. He says yes. Rita says that Dexter didn't get in until midnight. Sil says Miguel didn't get in until a couple of hours ago. She's convinced that Miguel is having an affair. Not necessarily with Dexter, but...
Which, I mean, like, how he walked in Ellen Wolf's house, you never know.
Yeah, we do. Dexter stops by Miguel's. Miguel walks out of his house whistling Camp Down Ladies. Dexter tells Miguel that he needs to improve his alibis. Dexter tried to cover for him, but he didn't go home right away. Miguel claims to have gone to a Jack's hideaway. He had to rush off to a court motion, but he tells Dexter he'll get better at this. Dexter says he stalks the man to Jack's hideaway, and it closes at 2 a.m. Deb, Quinn, Angel, and Dexter are trying to find out what happened to Anton. They figure out that he was grabbed while taking out his trash. Angel tries to get a warrant for King's house, while Deb and Quinn go to sit on King's house. Anton's being held by King at a different building. He tells them that... Anton tells King that if he knew where Freebo was, he would tell him. He's already removed several strips of skin from Anton's back. So,
and we get Freebo back.
Freebo again.
Freebo!
We get some Freebo and Chicky this time.
Yeah, the very next scene. Dexter overhears LaGuerta leaving a message for Wolf. She missed an emotion on, drumroll, the Chicky Hines.
Chicky Hines
Case. Harry states Dexter's concerned about Miguel's missing time and Wolf's disappearance. LaGuerta tells Angel that she's going to try and interview Mario. Angel overhears Masuka talking to Gianna about trans hookers as only Masuka can. Angel takes Masuka aside to complain, but he says that she brought it up, that she's like the Wikipedia of perv. I gotta find me a chick from Vice.
Yep. Leave it to Masuka to really just make a situation inappropriate.
And his questions about the prostitutes were just disgusting.
Yeah, I didn't write down the things that he said.
Thank you for not.
They're most likely the bad line of the episode. But the look on her face, the joy that she has in telling him this, and then the look on Angel's face when he finds out that she's the one that brought it up, it's just sad Tista to the max. It's so good.
Yeah, because he realizes that he's dating Masuka. He's dating female Masuka.
That's.
King shows up at his house. Quinn and Deb take him in for questioning. Dexter is watching two interrogations, LaGuerta with Mario, Quinn and Deb with King. Dexter gives Deb some tips on how to question King. He tells her to try deference since King is big on respect. Dexter finds out that LaGuerta still hasn't heard back from Wolf. Dexter goes to Wolf's office/home. Her car is still there, but she's gone. Dexter finds blood evidence with luminol. Harry appears with Wolf's corpse waving her hand. Dexter realizes that he told Miguel about open graves for body disposal.
I want to go back to the when they pick up Mario from King. When they're like, oh, just coming home, and he's like, oh yeah, lots of trees that need to be trimmed. I'm always working. Just came home for some breakfast, and it's just like, it's just a weird thing. It's like, yeah, he works nonstop, and then he's just coming home for breakfast, and it's so silly.
Yeah. The thing with him, like, again, about like how they stretch the storyline for these seasons, it was like episode 2 or 3 that he was first seen in, where he was like the foreman of the tree trimmers, and he introduces himself and he tells you his full name, and like watching it, knowing like who he turns out to be, it's like, okay, that's where they meet this guy. But if you're like, it's been like 8 weeks for you since you last saw this guy, like,
yeah,
he might as well be a new character.
Yeah, I had no recollection of him whatsoever when they first brought him back in and they're talking to him, and I'm just like, what tree trimmer was this? I don't know why this is relevant to anything. It was such a weird thing.
Yeah, and he's just, there's nothing interesting about this character at all anyway. Like, they've got a great setup for a decent, big bad, and he's just really blah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's trying to appear like he's not a big deal. Like he's just a humble tree trimmer with lots of ma'ams and sirs.
Nothing about him that makes him interesting or memorable at all, period, as, on the whole of the show. Like, had this great thing with the Skinner, and he's really just...
Well, and later when Deb, like, tackles him, and you realize that he's, like, I don't know, like, as tall as Deb's shoulder. Like, she's way bigger than he is. It's like, this guy's not the most threatening person you could have in there, but
he's definitely not Miguel as a Unabomber.
Who is, though, really?
Miguel shows up to an open house to apologize to Syl, but Rita is sitting in because Syl wasn't up to it. Rita gives Miguel a speech about how he's let Syl down. He asks Rita for advice on what to do, and tells her that she's very wise. Deb goes crazy on King and learns nothing. Quinn yells at her for that and for not taking care of Anton. Deb agrees and gets upset. Quinn admits that he used Anton. Dexter goes to a graveyard searching for Wolf's body. He finds it. Dexter realizes he got Wolf killed. Harry appears, also whistling Camp Down races. He says that Miguel is making his own life choices now, and Dexter is determined to make sure Miguel does not continue killing. Dexter confronts Miguel at lunch. Miguel admits he did it. They have different definitions of guilty. Miguel says he's a big boy and he knows what he's doing. Dexter decides to show Miguel he's not untouchable and returns to the graveyard.
It's just kind of like a weird... well, I'm using the word weird a lot today, but an interesting moment because it is sort of like they both have now dirt on each other. I didn't mean to do that because of the dirt and the thing, but...
You're all over the place with that.
I am.
Leaves and leave, dirt, grave.
I'm very Earth-centric.
Did you become a dad
today.
since the last time we recorded?
I did. I definitely
Great dad
did.
jokes.
But no, they really do have something on each other in terms of the fact that, like, now Miguel knows about kind of who and what Dexter is, yet Dexter also has this thing on Miguel, and he's going to show him. But it's almost like it's a pissing contest now, as opposed to a friendship, and I'm really sad about that. I wanted it to remain a friendship, and now it's not, and it hurts me.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. It's disappointing all around just how quickly this falls apart. LaGuerta has a heart-to-heart with Deb. She tells Deb that LaGuerta had a big wall around her that a friend pointed out. She's beginning to think the wall didn't make her a better cop after all. Two kids playing with a soccer ball in the graveyard. What the fuck? Find Wolf's body. Not the most respectful thing to do. LaGuerta asks Miguel to bend some rules to keep King in the system long enough to find Anton. Angel calls Dexter to go out on a new homicide, a female at the cemetery. Miguel overhears this and sips his coffee pensively. Wolf's body is shown, her eyes glazed, and for those of you who are watching on Netflix, the image of her eyes glazed over has been part of a slideshow in the Blu-ray menus all of season 3. Ellen Wolf's dead face has been since the very beginning of, like, it's on 3 discs in the Blu-rays, and the first 4 episodes, you see her dead face in the slideshow, like, while you're choosing your episode. It's like, what
Spoiler
are you
alert.
thinking?
Nothing. They're
But as long as I'm reviewing the Blu-ray authoring, like, they do it differently every single season, so it's hard to predict how it's going to work. But at least in this season, you can skip all of the warnings and logos and stuff at the beginning of it. Last season, I couldn't do that. I always had to wait through like 4 minutes of Showtime logos and FBI warnings before I got to select an episode. So at least I can skip over stuff, and I already know that Wolf dies, so it doesn't matter to me. So LaGuerta's distraught at Wolf being killed. Masuka sees that she's been strangled, stabbed, and beaten. It turns out that Dexter removed any evidence of Miguel before leaving the body out. He's not planning to get Mel caught, he's just teaching him a lesson. Miguel arrives and tells Dexter that this has taught him that he'd better follow the code or else. He makes a similar "you're a very wise person" speech as he did with Rita. Miguel says that Dexter may have saved his life, and he goes to talk to the press. Dexter arrives home and Rita gives him a taste test of 2 wedding cakes. Dexter asks about Syl, and Rita says that she helped. Apparently, she's also a very wise person, according to Miguel.
He even said
Saved his
"You
life.
saved my life."
Dexter realizes that the shirt might be bullshit too. He chooses the hazelnut cake, wrong, and runs off to test the blood on the shirt. Miguel offers to try to give King a fake deal in order to get information on Anton. He's unsuccessful. Dexter passes King as he's let out to release. He hopes he'll get to know King better someday. Deb comes up with a plan for her and Quinn. They drop Mario at home with his trees mysteriously trimmed. Mario now thinks King is after him. Mario reveals that King has a building under the highway. There's a shot of Quinn paying some guys for the tree trimming ploy, and Deb picks him up. King returns to the building and is about to enter when Deb and Anton's headlights come over the hill. He retreats in the opposite direction. Quinn uses the car to smash open the door. They find
This is
Anton...
just like... I was just going to say, it's just like, no, it literally is just like a steady stream of like things happening. Like once it goes away from Miguel, it's just like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, wow, finally some momentum in this fucking story.
Yeah, a whole
That's good
lot of
stuff,
nothing
though.
and
I liked
everything
it.
all at one time.
They find Anton alive, and Quinn calls in an ambulance and has an APB on King. Miguel tries to comfort Maria about Wolf. He says that he is LaGuerta's friend and she can lean on him to see her through. Dexter is whistling Campdown Races as the results come up. The blood on the shirt from Miguel is bovine, not human. Miguel used Dexter all along. Dexter has a daydream about smashing his office and yelling Miguel's name, but in reality, Miguel pops his head in. 9 holes tomorrow? Dexter says, "You bet." Internally, Dexter muses that he now has an emotion he doesn't need to fake. He feels something real. And that's the end of the episode.
That end scene with Dexter is the first time this season I've really felt like we're seeing Dexter. Like, that was finally a good Michael C. Hall scene, and just a good moment finally with him.
Yeah. So this was directed by Tim Hunter. It's his first episode. He was a prolific TV director, including brief stints on Twin Peaks, Homicide, and Mad Men. On Dexter, he directed this episode and one in season 4. After Dexter, he directed several episodes each of Nip Tuck, Hannibal, and Bosch. The writers were Scott Reynolds did the story and Melissa Rosenberg did the teleplay. Scott Reynolds has no IMDb credit, so Dexter is his first project, as far as I know. He has production credits for 2011 to 2013, writing 9 episodes total. His first was season 2, episode 10, There's Something About Harry. This is his second, though Melissa Rosenberg wrote the teleplay from his story. Post he worked on as a producer on Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and Inhumans. And Melissa Rosenberg, of course, the head writer on the first 4 seasons of Dexter, wrote or co-wrote 11 episodes across the first 4 seasons, including the season finales of seasons 1 and 2. And she went on to be the creator and occasional writer on Jessica Jones. So, best line of the episode.
Rita says to Miguel, "You're an idiot," and that was it. Just because he is an idiot. I just liked he got called an idiot. There's nothing profound about it.
You're an idiot.
That.
Mine was, there's finally an emotion I don't have to fake when he gets real angry. And, he's just, like, full of rage. I love that scene, by the way. That was just so much fun.
Yeah.
I'll agree with Zach on that one. That was probably the best line of the episode.
Oh, that face he makes after he screams Miguel in his daydream, that's also part of the screen, the Blu-ray menu. Like,
I love that face. I love
like,
that look on his face.
Yeah, great.
Love it.
How about the worst line of the episode?
I really didn't like when he yelled out Miguel. Miguel! Like, it was just so bad. The entire time I'm watching that whole scene where he's just destroying everything, I was like, God, I hope this is all in his head, because this is ridiculous.
Yeah, it was very like Saturday morning cartoons.
It might as well have been raining. He just drops to his knees and yells at the heavens.
Mine was, I went back to good old Masuka with she's like the Wikipedia of perv. You know.
I think Wikipedia is actually the Wikipedia of perv, but
I think you're right, yeah.
True. Yeah, I went with Masuka's entire line of questioning that I won't go into about the trans prostitutes.
yeah.
I'm not going to quote it, but yeah, that whole thing.
You don't want to say slug fucking? I'll say it.
No, I'm glad you're going to say it. Glad you just get that right out there.
How about the performance of the episode?
Actually, I went with Quinn on this one. I thought Quinn is like stepping it up in terms of being a dynamic character, and he doesn't necessarily do a whole lot, like from the previous episode where we get more about him. But I felt like he was actually like they were partners in this, and he was there for Deb, and I don't know, he was just good all around, I guess. And as good as you can get.
I've never seen anyone in anything decide that the way that they're going to break down a door is with the car.
Yeah.
Like, that has to be, like, the most brute force way to get through a door I've ever heard of.
He's cutting corners, man. He doesn't have time
really
to put
good
in
way for things to go wrong.
Yeah.
You're taking a pretty big chance with that one.
He's not cutting corners, he's smashing corners.
Yeah, true.
And possibly the person he's trying to save, but whatever.
Yes. Yeah, that's actually how the guy got killed. There was no meth involved with that police officer. He drove a car into him by mistake and drove it into his house. He was worried about him, and he just couldn't wait. He just drove straight into his house and flattened the guy.
He was just going to give him a ride to work and just drove into the door a couple times, and oops.
You weren't answering! Damn it!
I actually liked LaGuerta's performance in this one. The scene where she finds out about Ellen Wolf was really well acted.
It's like the first thing they gave her to do this episode, because like her entire relationship, I don't know what the female version of a bromance is, but like that whole thing with her.
I think we call it being friends. I think that's all we really call it.
Just
Friendship.
like her and Wolf, like that whole thing existed just for this, just so we had someone to feel bad that Wolf died, because nobody else in the cast like even knows her. So
yes, since I can't pick Michael C. Hall, which I would like to on this one, I'm gonna go with Guerta too, just because there was nothing else performance-wise that stood out to me. She's the only one I can really pick. And valuable lesson: don't be friends with LaGuerta, because she's either gonna screw you over or you're gonna die. So.
Well, if you're boyfriend with Deb, you're gonna get screwed and die. So it's
if you enter the death vagina, there is no escape.
Death vagina.
Yeah, there's just like an ominous black cloud over all of these people that are centered around in Miami Metro, and if you come into contact with any of them, something terrible is going to happen to you.
It's true. It's very true. I feel like some of it's happened to me. But that will do it for this episode. Thanks, you guys, for helping me put the podcast together. Thanks, everybody out there, for listening. We will see you on the next Deeply Discussing Dexter.